I told Larry, talk to your mom. Just hold her hand and talk to your mom. And he did. And I was surprised what came out of his mouth. Mom, I'm going to be okay. Mom, are you ready to go be with Granddad, Grandma? Mom is okay. We will be okay. I will be fine.
I felt that that was the only reason why she was holding on, because she thought that it would be too hard for me to lose her. So I guess once I gave her that okay, that's when she let go.
And I brought him home. And then when we got home, the phone rang. And they told me that she had passed. And I said, Larry? And he said, yes, Anella. And he came into my room. And he said, Mom died? I said, yes. He said, I felt that she would.
And then I believe I cried. But it wasn't like a cry of sorrow. It was like kind of relief, like she's not suffering anymore.
Being around your loved ones when they're passing helps. And I think children should be allowed to be a part of that process.
Today, a lot of people are dying at home. You have hospice situations. Kids are part of the dying process as well as part of the death. So I think that it becomes a necessity for parents to be much more open, because the dying part is more open, and then it's a natural process that death also be a more open subject when it comes to your kid being a part of it.
It was very, very difficult for me losing my father. Very difficult, because he went so fast. And the problem that I had, being an adult, I never got a chance to say goodbye. Larry and I discussed that. But with my mother's death, I was with her until she took her last breath. That's what I wanted Larry to experience.
When I finally found out what was going on, that's when I started really taking advantage of the time I had with her. Instead of going outside, I might stay in all day.
When you're going through an illness and you're dealing with anticipatory grief, you have the luxury of knowing the limits of time. And therefore, you make that time more meaningful for both the person who's dying and also yourself.
I'd like to have gone to the funeral just to see him one last time before they buried him.
I felt really sad. I wanted to speak to him and tell him how my day was and all those sorts of kind of things.
The importance of rituals is that it does give a child a place in which to go. What do I do with my feelings? Where am I supposed to be in all of this? And the rituals give them a place to be. This is how people respond when somebody dies.
After Maury's funeral and relatives were at the home, the kids went over by themselves. They spent a half a day making cards and decorating them and picking just the right flowers from our backyard to take over to Aunt Jan. And so I let them go and just be with her alone. They kind of felt like they were really being helpful, and they wanted to help her through that time.
I just went over there, I gave her a hug and a kiss just to make her feel better.
And he went through and picked out pictures, favorite pictures, and pasted them on a poster board, and then he wrote something underneath each picture. And when we went to church, to the rectory, Kevin was there. He wasn't excluded from anything, and that was their advice.
I think that there's a message that needs to be communicated, that this is, although a sad event, it's also kind of an event where we can really sit back, reflect, and say thanks for what a wonderful life this person had and how lucky we are to have had them. That's a very important message to continue to reinforce is, I know you're sad, I know you loved him very much, but that's why we need to do this. That's why we need to come together as a family, come together as a community, and say goodbye.
The cemetery is an important place for children to be because it gives them a sense of closure. This is where the body is. This is what we do at the cemetery. It gives them a place, even though they can go anywhere to talk to their loved one. It gives them a visualization and a place to go. And this is where they said goodbye.
When my father died, I was not allowed to go to the cemetery. So I had no closure. My son, Sully, was 2 years old at the time of my wife's death. And at that age, it was very important to keep everything as physical as possible. He'll ask me, "Where's my mommy?" And I can tell him, "Do you remember that your mommy died?" And he'll say, "Yes." "What happened?" And I said, "Do you remember mommy had a disease?" And he'll say, "Yes, she had cancer." And I'll say to him, "Sully, do you remember going to the funeral home?" And he'll say, "Yes. I saw mommy in her casket."
When Maury died, it was kind of unexpected because then that made me think any day now I could die or I can get really sick. And then I started crying because I was scared to die. And then my dad came in, he said, "You're not gonna die. You still have a long time left, on this earth."
When kids say to me, "Can I die?" I always say to them, "Absolutely." And I do it very matter-of-factly. As a matter of fact, everything and everybody that lives eventually will die. And then I'll say, "You see this desk? Can this desk die?" "No." "See this chair? Can this chair die?" "No." You see that bird? Can the bird die? Absolutely. Can you see, and you're talking about trees, now you're talking about things that are alive. And to everything, there's a lifespan. What you really want to do to kids that are healthy and, just thinking about it because they've just had a death is you want them to understand that there's a process called life and that everybody has an expectancy of living. And that becomes, 80 to 85, 86 years for younger kids right now. They say we could live till 90. I think it's really nice for kids to think about it in that sense. You know what? I got a long way to go.